In this video, we'll be building on some of the skills we showed in the previous video by taking a more detailed look at folders and files. Hopefully, much of the material here will be familiar to those of you who have used Windows before. Now, we saw several folders in the last video that Windows 7 places on your computer by default. However, you can create your own folders too. Here I am with Windows Explorer back in my personal folder. Although these folders here are called My Documents, My Music, My Pictures and My Videos, you can still copy any kind of information into these folders, and that holds true for all folders on a Windows PC. So let's open my Documents folder here by double-clicking on it. OK, I created two folders of my own in this folder called Example and Example2. How did I do this? Well, all I did was click New Folder from the toolbar here. This creates a new folder. Simply type any name that you want and the folder will be created. Now, this is very useful for organizing files on your computer. You can create subfolders for different projects, different events that you photographed or filmed perhaps, different albums or artists, or any way you choose. You can also have folders, almost limitlessly. When you work with files and folders in Windows 7, you'll get used to using the context menu. This is the menu that appears when you right-click a file or folder, like this. Now, I don't want to discuss all the options we see here in this video. We'll be covering those later, but I do want to show you some of the most common tasks you can perform with files and folders. Let's look at Send To first. It's down here. From here, we can send the file or folder to various places or programs on our PC. We can create a zipped file. This basically squashes all the files you have selected into one archive that you can then send across the internet. Or we can create a shortcut on the desktop. We can send the file or folder to our Documents folder. Well, this folder is already in our Documents folder, so in actual fact if we click that, we'd get a copy of this folder appear in the Documents folder. And we can send the folder directly to the fax or mail recipient if email and fax software has been set up on this machine. If your computer has an old-fashioned floppy drive, the option to send the folder to the floppy drive is still there even now on Windows 7. Next, I want to look at Cut and Copy. These are two of the most important context menu items. Cut is used for moving files and folders, whereas Copy is used, unsurprisingly, to copy them. Let's say you wanted to move this Example2 folder inside this Example folder. One of the easiest ways to do this is to use the context menu. Right-click on the Example2 folder and choose Cut. Now open the folder you want to move the file or folder into, in our case Example. Right-click on an empty space in the folder and choose Paste. Now in this instance there was already an Example2 folder inside this folder, so Windows will ask you if you want to replace this folder with the new one that you're trying to copy or move in. Be careful before you click Yes, because when you overwrite the existing object, it's overwritten and you won't be able to recover it from the recycle bin. OK, there's the folder. Of course, if we had chosen Copy instead of Cut, then Example2 would still be in this folder too. Let's demonstrate this now. Right-click and choose Copy, and then Paste, and the folder is copied in, and the original is still there. We can also rename files and folders easily. Here in the example folder, we've got a music file, an installation database, that's a program that can be run and installed in less technical terms, and a picture. Renaming any type of file or folder can be done easily from the context menu. Simply right-click on the file you want to rename, choose Rename here, and then enter a new name. And press Enter. Finally, we can also easily delete files or folders we no longer need. To do this, right-click on the file you want to delete, then choose Delete from the context menu here. Windows will ask you to confirm. Click on Yes, and the file is removed. Usually, though not always, files that you delete are sent to the recycle bin, which you can access by double-clicking here. Now you can take files out of the bin by right-clicking the file and choosing Restore. Though we'll take a more in-depth look at the recycle bin in another tutorial. Before we finish, I just want to mention that you can also delete files by clicking on them once and then pressing the Delete key on the keyboard. That's this key here. And there we go. This is often faster than using the context menu, but it's down to personal preference which method you use. And that concludes this tutorial on working with folders in Windows 7.